Hello, thank you. This is your family lawyer with yours sincerely, alright, Eigbe. And the things that I share here are for educational purposes only. Don't regard this as professional advice or as legal advice. Yesterday I was in family court, and tomorrow I'll also be in family court because I'm a divorce and a family lawyer. And what I do on your family lawyer is to see how I can answer your questions so you understand Nigerian family law better. On today's episode, the question that I want to answer today is how can I tell if I am in an abusive marriage, right? Because some people are in an abusive marriage right now and they do not know. And the reason is simple. It is generally said that boys who grow up from an abusive home, who grow up in an abusive home, end up being abusive themselves in their marriages and in their family because they think that that is a pattern. They think that it is normal. That's the only way they know how to relate, interact with a woman, and how to handle and deal with such issues. On the other hand, women who grow up in abusive homes, they are most likely going to tolerate abuse in their own marriages because of normalization, right? They feel that, oh, it's proper, it's normal. And you hear people saying that, but he's my husband, he should be able to do that, right? So there are people right now who are in abusive marriages, but they do not know. And so today's episode is geared towards answering that question. How do I tell if I'm in an abusive marriage? Interestingly, what I'll be sharing with you today will not just tell if you're in an abusive marriage, it will also tell if you are the one that is abusive. Yes, there are times that people are the ones who are genuinely innocently abusive and they do not know it. They think that the way they are acting, the way they are behaving is normal without knowing that that particular action is hurting their spouse, is destroying their marriage, and some of those actions are even criminal by law. So thank you once again for joining me on your family lawyer. Let's go straight because I'll be sharing with you 9 things in these 9 signs. If you see any of these signs in your marriage, then there is a possibility that your marriage is abusive. Should you walk away if you find any of these? The answer is no. But then how does your spouse respond to it? So if your spouse chooses to work on these issues and get better, if you present it to them, then your marriage has been saved. Your marriage can be saved. But if your spouse is not willing to change any of those behavior and attitude, if you choose to divorce on these grounds, our Nigerian legal system says that they are sufficient enough. But generally, the Matrimonial Causes Act actually calls it cruelty in marriage, and we call it intolerable behavior. So intolerable behavior, cruelty. Now the first one is fear and intimidation. If you're always afraid in your marriage, you're always afraid of your spouse causes fear in you, your spouse intimidates you, you are always feeling intimidated by your spouse's actions or inactions, then yes, your marriage is abusive. Then your spouse is abusive. Now, it is not only your spouse that can do it to you, you can also do it to your spouse, right? So it means that you are abusive. The second thing that I want to share after the fear and intimidation is if there is control and isolation. So if there's control, one person is always control the other person. You can't go out, you can't befriend people, you can't talk to people, you can't be on social media, you can't even use smartphones, you can't join particular organizations and body either for your career or for your social life. Once there is control, you can't even eat the way you want to eat when you want to eat. Once there's a sense of control, and also isolation, your partner does not want you relating with people, always trying to isolate you, always trying to keep you locked up, friend, that marriage is abusive. Number 3, is there verbal and emotional attacks in your marriage? Yeah, your spouse is always cursing, your spouse is always cursing you, your spouse is always doing things, giving you the silent treatment, keeping malice, trying to attack you emotionally, trying to attack you verbally. If this exists in your marriage, then that marriage is abusive. If it's coming from your spouse is abusive. If it's coming from you, you are abusive. And then the fourth thing I want to talk about is physical harm. Like once there's the slightest physical touch, yeah, to cause bodily harm, right? They push you, to slap you, right? They hit you, then that is abuse. That's marriage abusive. In fact, if they carry something and throw it towards you, whether the thing hits you or not, or they destroy or break things in the house, that marriage is abusive. Not just that, sexual coercion is also, which right now will be our number 5 point, it's also a sign of abuse in your marriage, right? It's one of those signs of abuse in a marriage. If your spouse is always forcing you to have sex, drugging you to have sex, give you alcohol to have sex, manipulating you, coercing you one way or the other just to have sex, which can be from either side, so it can come from the husband or it can come from the wife, the law regards it as intolerable behavior. The law regards it as cruelty. How about financial control, which will be number 6? Yes, we know there are some people who stop their spouse from working. The Violence Against People Prohibition Act actually regards it as domestic violence. For you to stop your spouse from working is regarded as domestic violence, right? Or you tell your spouse that every money he or she earns must be paid into your account, and you're the only one that can dictate how those money will be spent and everything. Once there's financial control whatsoever, then that marriage is abusive. Now, how about if there's blame and manipulation? So somebody's always blaming somebody. Somebody's always trying to manipulate somebody. Trust me, that being our number 7, because financial control is number 6 and blame and manipulation is number 7, it's also a sign of abuse in your marriage. Okay, if you have threats and harassment, you're always feeling threatened, you're always being threatened, you're always being harassed, whether privately or publicly, it is a sign of abuse. Now, if you have loss of freedom and self-worth, you no longer, your self-esteem is now low because your partner has rubbished it, your marriage has rubbished it, right? And you now have loss of freedom. You're no longer free to express yourself, to complain, to present your own side, to present your own wishes and desire. Your marriage is most likely abusive. So in all, if you feel unsafe, if you feel controlled, if you feel belittled, and if you are always experiencing fear, being afraid in your marriage, it is clear evidence that your marriage is abusive, right? So what should you do? Seek professional help from lawyers. Many times if you go to some lawyers, they'll just want you to go to court and divorce, right? So I suggest you seek professional counsel from family lawyers or from a counselor, psychologist, from counselors who will first of all attempt on seeing if the marriage can recover from that abuse. Yes, because your marriage can recover from abuse, and there are many marriages out there that have recovered from one form of abuse or the other. Now, it's not just only if your spouse is abusive, but even if you are the one that is abusive. It is when this has failed, I mean, when your marriage has failed, could not recover, maybe because you or your partner did not put in the amount of effort required to make that marriage work, to make that marriage recover from that abuse. It is when that phase you can go to court. And trust me, if you go to court, you have solid ground for divorce if you have any of these 9 things. Number 1, against fear and intimidation. Number 2, control and isolation. Number 3, verbal and emotional attacks. Number 4, physical attacks. Number 5, sexual coercion. Number 6, financial control. Number 7, blame and manipulation. Number 8, threats and harassment. Number 9, loss of freedom and self-worth. If any of this exists in your marriage, it is sufficient grounds for divorce. It is still Eigbe, your favorite family a lawyer, reaching you from the ancient and modern city of Ibadan. Thank you so much for watching this. Share it with your friends so that they learn the same things that you are learning, right? And if you need legal advice, you can use the details on this particular episode to reach out to me or find a lawyer closest to you. See you next week, Tuesday. You rock.